on, everybody? Welcome back to another delicious episode of the Viall Files.
Yummy.
A little callback.
It's our new favorite word.
To
Ching.
a ching. Anyway, it is delicious. It's wonderful. We have Cheryl Burke with us today. Well, I mean, we already love Cheryl, but Cheryl, what a great guest.
So awesome. I feel like she's candid and wise in the way that I have only ever seen from like people who are sober.
Yeah. Well, when she talks about her sobriety, her divorce, we get into a little Dancing with the Stars updates, and all around real solid episode.
Yeah, we got into it.
Yeah. I went to Mexico this weekend. Breathless Cancun Soul Resort and Spa.
What a name.
I had a really nice time. And like ALG Vacations, they set it all up. It was great. Me, Joe, Serena, Natalie, and ourselves. Those places can be hit or miss sometimes with all-inclusive places.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Oh,
the whole
yeah.
concept is like you pay upfront money and then they're like, well, you already paid. So, but they had some really delicious meals. There were some meals I had that I was just like, I want to have this again. This is really good.
That's big for you.
That is big.
You're very picky.
I had some chicken that I told Joe was memorable.
Wow.
Oh
my God.
That's Michelin star right there.
But it's a type of resort you'd go and hang out with, like either like perfect for like couples. It's an adult place, so like either it's bachelor parties or bachelorette parties, but like also great for like if you used to go party back in the day and then maybe you don't anymore because like but you want to go back to like Cancun and live it up with some friends and take some shots and just dance and do like a little fun pool. Turn it up, get the DJ going. Like great place for it. Good times.
Did you rip shots?
No, I don't do shots.
I was gonna.
I
did
can't
drink.
imagine you doing a
No,
shot.
but I would pay money to see it.
Yeah, I don't do shots.
But you drank. That's exciting.
I drank, yeah.
Mazel tov.
We had a really enjoyable time, and they planned everything. I mean, so
I went to a very bad quality all-inclusive resort with my ex way back when. And
Why do I feel like you lived an entire life before I even knew I was born? Like you just have all of these stories.
I put myself out there. I have made some risky choices.
Like
Or not risky, but just like
I've never even like traveled with a partner. Like I just feel like
Ever?
a child.
date a 30-year-old in college. You can travel with a partner.
There you go.
That's the secret. But the food was very bad. But I will say it was very much like a point of bonding. Like, and kind of the nice thing about all inclusives is that it's like you learn the terrain early on and then you're like, this is where we are. And yeah, you can go on like little adventures, but I feel like usually on vacations, there's this like, well, what are we going to do element of like, where are we going to eat? Like, you have to have like planning an itinerary. And I do think it's kind of fun when you go on a vacation where you're just like, all right, you're in this.
yeah, but also like the ALG Vacations who planned it out, like they really like they organized some fun things.
That's awesome.
I really appreciate it just because Natalie's not even a vacation planner either. So we had stuff to do the whole time, which is something that we don't usually do. Even when we went to Europe, we're like, oh, what should we do? We ran into friends and they basically were our
Tour guides.
Travel guide.
When you and Natalie are on vacation together, how much alone time do you tend to take?
Not much. Should we do
From
more?
each other or from the other members of the group?
I meant from each other, but
Well, this was like a couples thing. Yeah, not a ton. I guess maybe like after the vacation, like we, there's.
He said that like after Europe, you guys kind of were just like needed a little time.
Yeah, I mean, but like she had, we were gone for like 2 weeks, so she had like we both had like shit to do, and it was like this natural like
people to catch up with.
people catch up with or whatever.
It's a lot of. I mean, I guess y'all live together. That's just like a lot of.
But when you travel, there's an intense. There's more intensity.
Yeah.
I had to, when I went to Vegas, like this was before I was like dating my boyfriend, and I had to like disappear for 30 minutes and go poop in like the conference room toilet.
Okay.
Allie has influenced me into
No, see, here's the thing, because
Allie's an influencer.
the thing is like promising, what do we call him? Promising new man, promising young man or whatever, like was always on the same level with me. And he'd be like, okay, well, when I threw up like last week, he was like, well, how have your bowel movements been recently? Like he goes straight there. And I was like, let me tell you.
He's a doctor.
Well, I'll ask bowel movements is like
to
me.
Talk about it all day.
Like I will talk about it
Why
with
is it
anybody except
personal?
for the person I'm fucking.
Why it's
We're gonna cut
We have a
this.
great episode. Don't forget to send in your questions at asknickatcastme.com, cast with the K. Ellie Zeiler is with us next week. We'll get to chat with her, learn about her fascinating life, her rise to fame in TikTok fashion, your latest and greatest pop culture conversations. Also, Bachelor recap. Oh, Becca Moore is back helping us break down another episode of The Bachelorette. Definitely don't want to miss that. I will say, final thoughts on peeing and pooping. I always thought, like, my young life, that if the girl I was dating would pee in front of me, it would be like, she must really feel comfortable. It was like a good moment. It was like, I saw that as like
a milestone.
Like a milestone.
Sometimes you don't have an
And
option.
it was anticlimactic for you?
No, I'm just saying, but like, I could not feel more different about if the other thing happened.
Yeah, I
Like
totally
she
agree.
just like pulled her pants down and started peeing. I'm like, wow, you must really, wow, we have something there. Like, wow. But the other, like, I know it happens. It's fine. I love you. Blah, blah, blah. Cheryl Burke, everybody. Rothy's could be your new everyday shoe obsession. I know they're mine. Rothy's gives you the right out-of-the-box comfort. I love right out-of-the-box comfort.
The second you put it on your foot, it like molds to your foot. And it's not like a typical shoe or a flat where it's like stiff and you have to break them in.
No blisters, no break-in period, easy to clean. It is the most efficient and stylish shoe on the market today. They won Best Flat for their first ever style awards in 2021. People magazine named the Point Best Flat for the first ever style award in 2021. Winning awards. It's so cool. They're made out of recyclable plastic, so you're not only looking good, you're helping out the environment, which, you know, makes us feel warm and cozy. Comfort, washability, durability, style. Rothy's has it all. Whether it's their footwear, both for men and women now.
They listen to you.
They listen to me. They also have real wonderful handbags. I like saying it's made out of recyclable plastic because good for the environment. But like, it does such a disservice because if you've never seen a Rothy's pair of shoes,
they're gorgeous, and they're the type of shoe where
never,
like
you would never think that they're made out of recyclable
no,
plastic.
and you can wear them for like formal occasions. You can throw them with jeans
God,
and like
yeah.
a t-shirt, and suddenly you're trendy. They
Like a
go with
wedding.
everything.
Yeah.
Versatile.
For a wedding, you could just shove them in your purse, and then when your feet get sore,
like they have plenty of
throw
like
on your
shoes,
Rothy's.
like loafers that are great with a suit for men.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for
Totally.
sure. Well, step up your shoe and accessory game this summer and get ready to be asked, are those Rothy's? Plus, get $20 off your first purchase at rothys.com/VIALL. That is ROTHYS.com/VIALL. Cheryl,
Hi.
welcome.
Thanks.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great that you're here. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you. You look very tan.
I was in Mexico.
I know.
Although it is summer.
You're not as tan as me.
I don't
but
know if I got some sun, but I'm a big believer. Don't fuck with the sun in Mexico.
in SPF.
Yeah, like those, you see it every time. You go down to Mexico and you just spot them out. All the
Right.
people who got cocky day one.
Right.
Yeah, and at the airport.
Yeah.
You look like a
walks of shame.
lobster.
It's just
Yeah.
like, no, just load it up, you know? And I
Yeah.
don't know, apparently there's new reports about SPF and
What? What's that?
apparently it's unhealthy for you. I don't know. Nothing's healthy
Everything
for you.
is unhealthy for
Anymore.
you.
But
now,
you know
I
what
mean, living in Los Angeles, breathing this horrible air.
You know what's
Yeah.
unhealthy for you? Having the sun burn your skin off.
yeah,
Exactly.
skin cancer.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
that's definitely unhealthy for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, other than
and
that,
I
I'm
also
fine.
go in a tanning bed. Let's not go there. But yeah.
Also not good.
Yeah, I know.
all
I know.
right,
I know.
well,
Listen, I'm
what can we
sober
do?
now, so that's my vice. Sunset tan in Studio City.
That's your
Anyone wants
vice.
to join me. Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone wants to join me.
Well, we are happy to have you. We have a lot to talk about. Let's just get into it before we get into all our pop culture and office hours. How have you been?
Oh wow. That's a loaded question.
I
I've
like
been
to start with the loaded
yeah.
ones.
No, I've been okay. I'm here. I am alive and I am well. I am taking my whole life one day at a time with my sobriety and also with my divorce and life in general. So it's really that.
How recent was your divorce?
We separated January 7th of this year. Very recent.
Very recent. How are you doing? Like, how's your heart? Seriously.
My
like,
heart
it's not,
is
hard.
it's heavy, you know, and it's like you've like I'm grieving a death basically because, you know, this is somebody that I spent every single day of my life with for the past 5 years, and plus we have history. We dated when I first started Dancing with the Stars back in 2006, and then we dated in 2007. So there's this history there that basically I relate to as my whole career here in Los Angeles as far as him in my life goes.
Oh, really? So, like, as far as, wow, that even tougher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
We do that sometimes. Like, whether we should or shouldn't do that.
There was a 10-year
Yes,
gap,
we-
but like still, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
the first and last type thing.
Yeah, it really.
As of today.
it could be something that it would be understandable that you think that pops in your head, and if you're having sad thoughts to,
Yeah.
I guess, dwell on that, I suppose, because it frames a relationship, and then
Right.
when the relationship doesn't work out, it can those things like that can make it challenging.
100%. And I'm also, evolving as we humans do on a daily basis. But this is me sober, right? So my head is very clear, and he was in my life when I wasn't sober as well. So I decided to get sober during our engagement party, actually. And that was 4 years ago, basically end of July of 4 years ago. So it's just been interesting how much my life has changed. And yet I know it is very sad, and I feel it every day, multiple times a day. It's also a little empowering, I guess, at the same time.
How so?
Because I'm choosing my sobriety and myself, not in a selfish way,
No, yeah.
but like in a way where I am learning to love myself and have some self-respect.
I think for a lot of people, I hate the word selfish
Because a lot of people take it that way.
there's a lot of people who are selfish. I mean, we live in a
Right.
selfish society where we're becoming as a whole more and more self-centered and more individualistic. That said, there are a lot of people out there who need to focus on themselves, who haven't given themselves self-love or consideration, who haven't invested in themselves as much as they've invested in other people, et cetera, et cetera. And for those people, I think it's not only okay, I think it's needed for them to prioritize themselves because
how can you love anyone if you don't love yourself?
they just haven't done that yet for themselves.
Or we're raised with that in mind, right? Like you are who you're raised by unless you consciously untrain your brain. And, unfortunately, I've gone through trauma. I got sexually molested when I was a little girl. I have a wonderful mother. My father passed away a few years ago, but they divorced when I was really young. And my stepdad, who plays the role as my father, definitely stepped in. But still, there was no clear father figure, right, in my life. And I then, for me, love equaled abuse. Love equaled, avoidant, being that avoidant person where I became very anxious. Always, I related that to love, and I didn't understand or I couldn't accept nice people that would come around in my life, right? Nice dance partners when I competed, nice men in general was a turnoff to me. So it's not just this divorce, right? Like I have to really be present and mindful with what I'm doing as far as, okay, how do I retrain that part of my brain where I can then manifest or attract, like to like.
It's interesting. And how long have you been kind of working through this thought process? Is this since post-divorce, or was that kind of, now granted, obviously in marriage you weren't thinking about dating, but even in your romantic relationship, I'm assuming this applies to all aspects of your relationships or
Yes.
all people you're interacting with. Like how long have
Especially
you been
myself.
How long have you been kind of on that kind of, it's the word journey. Yeah, but like that
Good word.
quest.
I like
That quest
journey.
of
What's wrong with journey?
we,
So overused.
we cover The Bachelor on this show, and so therefore,
you do?
Yeah, the journey is sometimes.
Is that what they use a lot?
Journey? Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Quest.
Got it.
Love quest.
It's like you have PTSD behind the word journey.
I do a little
Okay,
bit.
I
but
get it.
Anyway, so on your journey.
Yes.
That's a me problem.
Quest.
When did you have that realization about your relationship with, specifically men, or just, mean, or like how do you describe it in terms of how you responded to how people treated you, and it was almost the opposite. You were validating the wrong behaviors. How long have you been working on that?
Well, a long time. I mean, I've been in therapy since I was a little girl. My mom made sure of that when I was sexually abused, and then testified against my abuser when I was 9. And then moving forward, it was like a decision I made when I first moved to LA in 2006. I don't know if you remember or if anyone remembers, I was like on a daily on TMZ, that girl, right? Just like wasted and not proud of it, but definitely not going to hide it. Anyway, so that was me numbing through that whole time. Then I decided to go back into therapy. And since I've become sober, I've really done the nasty and work that nobody really wants to do, as far as like looking inward and figuring out, what are my patterns and do I like that? And how do I change it? And what do I need to do in order to, first, I think it is definitely learning to respect myself and have boundaries. And that's been really, as basic as that sounds, it's been something that I'm still working on, and I think I will forever.
What did it look like in terms of discovering what respecting yourself looks like in practice every day? Like, how did you discover that?
Good question. Well, it really is about, what are your top 3 or 5 things that that are non-negotiable as far as, what is something that you'll take, whether that is somebody emotionally maybe abusing you or physically abusing you. Like how do you want to be treated? How do you feel most respected versus, oh, it's fine, it never happened. Like I'm really good at pretending stuff never happened. When I was in high school, I was with 2 men who both emotionally and physically abused me. And it was that pattern of like, oh, it's fine. He won't do it again. Like it was kind of trauma bonding where you just don't believe what you see. So like whether that be bruises or it could be emotional, you somehow convince yourself that this never happened and then you go back. And so it's stuff like that like, okay, what do I deserve? But in order for that to happen, it's, me. I have to define that myself and really lay down the law. And I think I went from not speaking up to being so sensitive to any type of abuse or yelling even that, there is a gray area. I'm not saying yelling is okay, but I think that I'm in the process now of that gray area and trying to also learn to be vulnerable, even if it's scary, even if that's not what I want to do, because I definitely was in fight, flight, or freeze for the longest time of my life and maybe still am when I am not conscious.
When you say gray area, I thought that was interesting because if I'm understanding what you're saying, I think it's very relatable too, because you talked about all these things you've been through, which in the therapy and all the work you've put into it, right? Which obviously is not easy and awesome that you did that. And you were talking about how, that gray area, because I can see how that can be, and I feel like it's relatable where I see that where, we experience something that, whether it's something as serious as abuse, or some other kind of
just a conversation,
or just disappointment or trauma,
Yeah.
like maybe it's just heartbreaker.
Right.
And then we learn about we don't know what that is in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
We feel something,
Mm-hmm.
and then we might learn about it through therapy. What that was, and I think sometimes we try to apply that knowledge in a way that's with the best intentions. Like you mentioned, yelling, right? Where it's just like you went from
being beat up,
ignoring it to like no one can yell kind of thing, almost like, right? Or reacting to
reactive,
as opposed to finding that balance between, listen, this is toxic, this is abusive behavior, these are things I need to identify and be mindful of and call out or remove myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like being emotional, being human, reacting, and then being able in those situations to still allow our partners to feel, but keep them have expectations of how much they can express themselves.
In context,
have boundaries to say, hey, you can be mad, but please don't talk to me that way.
Depending on the yelling. If they're expressing them, if someone is loud and they're yelling, I do tend to get sensitive to people, loud talkers. That doesn't mean that is abusive.
Yeah.
Right. And doesn't mean, depending on what the context is, what that person's yelling about, it may not even be directed at me. It may just be his way of expressing his emotion. And so I have to learn, I'm very reactive. So instead of reacting, I have to respond, which means don't interrupt, means like really sit with your feelings and allow your feelings to happen. Like all of this stuff is so new to me, to feel your feelings. Like I'm a professional number. Right? I've numbed my whole life. I think that's the reason why I didn't check into the nearest mental institution, honestly, from the day I got molested and all of that happened. Great things happened in between. I'm not just talking about the negative stuff here, but like, since we're on this subject, it really, it's a different way of thinking for me that I wish they would teach at schools and stuff like that, because this is all new.
Thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah.
Going through divorce, obviously, is not something people envision for themselves. It's considered by many to be a really difficult time in their lives. And whether it's divorce or just heartbreak, we on the show always try to make sure that we're just having the best possible, without being, cheerleaders or like annoyingly positive. We're just trying to see, challenge ourselves to have the best possible perspective on any given situation.
Okay.
Like, if shit happens, like I think it's important to acknowledge that we're sad or angry or disappointed. Like we don't have to numb ourselves or pretend it didn't happen. Let's acknowledge it, but then let's try to work through it. And I'm wondering, having heard you talk about all these new things that you're discovering and learning and working on, and still that process, even though you're going through this divorce, right? Does that make you optimistic about the future in dating? Because, I think a lot of people in your shoes will go through this period of, I never want to date again, or just kind of very negative about relationships and love. And I'm wondering, since you are learning all these things, you have so much more to apply. Do you find yourself really optimistic about your future in general, and specifically around love, knowing that, well, if I can really hone in on this, I might have the chance to still have my healthiest relationship of all time?
People ask me all the time in interviews, would I get married again? Absolutely. I'm not jaded by, men in general. And I definitely believe until, what I'm trying to avoid, and everyone's going to have their own opinion, right? A lot of my friends a few are divorced, and they went straight back into dating. And it's like, I want to break the pattern. And I definitely am obviously not 100% there yet. And I know that I'll never be 100% healed. And I know that I won't ever be 100% ready, but I know today I do have more work to do in order to break the pattern.
That's not easy to recognize, but it's awesome that you can do that, because it can be scary to say, well, there's still some work to be done. But
I'll be a work in progress forever.
Does it also make you feel empowered at the same time to be able to kind of own that and still be like, I'm still okay. I'm
100%.
Still here,
right?
Still thriving.
Like when you asked me today, like, how are you? I'm like, I'm here. And yeah, it gets lonely. I'm not going to deny that. Yes, I maybe wish I was at least texting somebody. When I tell you guys, I'm not doing anything. It's really like I'm living like a nun, which is not bad. If you're a nun, that's great. But like
the nun community,
you don't want to get canceled.
I'm Catholic. I was, baptized Catholic. It's all good. But I have said this before. It's been a year since I haven't had sex, and that's fine too, because you just get used to your normal pattern. But like at the same time, it is empowering. Back to what you were saying, Nick, because I've never done this. I do owe this to myself more than anybody else. I did people please. And within this time alone, when I'm not working, I'm working on myself.
That's awesome. I was going to say, like, what's something about divorce in general that you've learned, I guess, the hard way, or just like even a tidbit? I don't know if it's about how the lawyers play a role, but this like something about the process, because I don't think a lot of people do a lot of research on divorce before they get married. They don't really think about it until they're getting divorced. And I'm just wondering, do you have any insight on a nugget or two or something that you could be like, hey, if you're out there and you find yourself going down that path, consider X, Y, or Z?
Yeah. The red flags, right? So if there are red flags from the beginning, maybe don't say I do. I'm not insinuating that there was on my end, but in general, like if you can't talk about money, or if you really have to separate yourself from the honeymoon phase, because it's very, like nowadays, I do believe that the messaging when it comes to our society today is the wrong messaging. Now, if you want to do the research, regardless of how much research you do as far as divorce or marriage goes, it's going to be your own experience regardless. Sure. And I do believe that people are going to have that. But I can talk about only so much when it comes to my divorce. But we definitely had a prenup, and we had a confidentiality and NDA in it, which means that I just can't talk detail. But what I did learn from this is that it takes time. Just because you have a prenup in place doesn't mean you're going to get divorced tomorrow. Especially in California.
I think prenups can be...
Do you believe in it?
Prenups, yeah. I think they make sense. The NDA...
Well, when you're in this business.
I guess.
Yeah.
It's very
important.
But yeah, I think when it comes to marriage, it's not what it used to be in terms of how society views it, or its legal aspects, or why people got married. It had a lot of different meanings 100 years ago.
Well, yes.
And so like it just hasn't kept up with the times, and therefore we now operate.
A few things haven't, but
yeah. Like marriage might be till death do us part, but most people don't subscribe to that mentality anymore.
No.
And therefore like the idea that you're getting married and you're like sharing all your assets and everything you've ever owned, and you could be married for a month or 10 years, it's just kind of weird.
That to me isn't necessarily taking responsibility over your own life too. Yeah. Like you are your own individual, and with that comes history. Maybe you have family assets. You just need to think with your brain at that moment, I think.
Yeah, I think it's at the end of the day,
And
marriage.
if you love each other, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, marriage
right?
is a contractual agreement, and if you ever
Absolutely.
talk with lawyers,
Yes.
the reason why you ever get lawyers is what I've heard, and it made a lot of sense, is that you get lawyers for not what you think is going to happen. It's for the things that like you imagine would never happen.
Well, right. And they're not thinking with their heart.
And if they do, you've got lawyers for it. That's why you get a lawyer.
Right.
Because if you're like, oh, this will never happen, then there would be no need for lawyers. Because
Right.
often things that we think will never happen.
or not think that will. Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Totally. Would you sign would you make your loved one sign one, or vice versa?
I think it's a healthy discussion to have with couples. And I think to your point, like you said, finances are a big part of thing, and every situation is different. I don't think in any way the person, I don't think anyone in a relationship who thinks it makes sense for them to have a prenup should be made to feel bad about it, or it's not romantic, or have it be used against them or weaponized in any way. I think.
I mean, childbirth isn't romantic either,
Yeah.
to be quite honest. So.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. So you said something earlier that I wanted to go back to. Like you said, like have conversation. Like if it's a red flag, then it might still be a red flag. But how would Cheryl, when you start dating, like how would you address? Like you meet someone, you have a nice date, it's going really well, but they say one or two things, you're just like, I don't know, maybe red flag. Like how do you think you'll go about figuring out whether this red flag is a non-negotiable or like a pet peeve, something you can get over,
So I have like a top 3 things that I now, it's all new to me, as I said, but accountability is very important to me. Holding yourself accountable for whatever it is, not blaming, right? So that's one. Number 2 is honesty, loyalty, trust is a huge thing for me for obvious reasons from my past. And then 3 would be definitely someone who can support himself would help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that
that's the thing. I won't even date you. I won't even, whatever I end up doing, I'm trying to avoid dating apps, but a matchmaker, whoever the matchmaker is, I will say it nice and clear. I mean, this is what it is. And then maybe we can get to the, okay, well, maybe I can like try it, even if it's a pet peeve.
Okay.
Well, it's funny you say that because Lori Harvey had an interview that a lot of people are talking about. She
Steve Harvey's daughter
yeah, and she
was dating
yes,
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael
They
B.
broke
Jordan.
up earlier in June,
Got
and they were
it.
in a really serious, really loving
Yeah.
relationship. And in a recent interview, she was asked what her biggest red and green flags are, and her green flags, very similar to yours, were transparency, openness, and communication. One of the red flags she mentioned was if you're too close to your exes, and I'm curious if that's something you also categorize as a red flag, or kind of what you look for in terms of dynamics with a current partner's, how they treat their exes.
I hear you.
how they treat or the relationship with them.
Either.
Because like I've well, sure, both, but like I think one's like how they speak about their exes important, but how they
But it's part of trust, right? It falls under that umbrella. So like, and it's also part of within the trust and the honesty and all of that is the how open are you? Like, or how? So for example, I dry hump people for a living. That's what I do. I ballroom dance.
She means dancing.
Yeah, I'm a ballroom dancer, and I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. Let's rumba, right? Constantly. And I am pretty sure that some of my exes, including my ex-husband, probably don't necessarily feel that so like comfortable if they were really to like sit down and imagine
Not their
it.
favorite thing.
No. Probably like a 9 to 5 would be like less stressful. But I do make it a habit to say it as it is, whether that my partner's hitting on me, whether my partner is maybe gay, or no worries, you got nothing to worry about, or like it's so important to not wait to have these conversations because you put yourself, and I hate this, but like I don't necessarily like to compare, like put yourself in that person's shoes because no matter what, that's never going to happen, right? Like everybody's their own individual, but if he was on set, he, was an actor or is an actor, I would expect the same treatment back. Like, I don't need to get to that point of jealousy or to where we're hiding stuff from each other.
This reminded me, I think it might be what you're saying, but huge pet peeve of mine is when my partner plays dumb.
Right.
And when, it's
They
just
want to
like,
make you jealous or something?
not even, no, because you were saying, if I have a dance partner, let's say they're hitting on me or something, you want to just put it out there with whoever you're dating and just like have that be something that you're both on the same page. And what I'm saying is like sometimes like I think people in relationships will, they're not flirting or whatever. I hate it when people play dumb as opposed to just like, let's just, especially in a relationship, like, you know,
a serious one. Yes.
Everyone, like we don't like, I can be accused of maybe saying things that don't need to be said. I can be totally honest and candid and certain social surroundings, maybe I'm too transparent. I don't know. When it comes to my relationships, I'm just saying in general, but when it comes to my relationship, let's just like call everything what it is.
Yes.
Let's just name whatever it is. Let's not pretend there's something going on. And there's
but
nothing.
Then it makes you wonder, like, are you just saying that? Because like then you're like, wait. So he is flirting with you.
Yeah, like exactly. And if you're playing dumb or if you're trying to pretend something is when we both
Don't
know
be
what
aloof.
it is, then that's a red flag for me. That's a
Unless if that person's aloof in general, then it's kind of your bad.
Aloof, sure, but like no, when they're actively being like, no, that's not what it is. It's just like
no, you're in denial.
Yeah.
Or they're so scared to hurt you, right? So that is also another red flag.
That's a huge red flag.
Like don't say stuff because you think I'm going to react a certain way. It's
also
escalates.
just it's an excuse. That's
totally.
bullshit. They don't
and
care about my
allow
feelings.
people to have feelings. Like that's normal to be angry.
Yeah. They don't care about your feelings. They just care about not being in trouble.
Yeah.
Do you think some people are naturally predisposed to be more jealous than others? Or do you think it's really just a matter of like people who are on different parts of the journey of like doing their work and kind of like sitting with themselves?
Well,
I'm definitely a jealous person. And I think that comes from not a stable father figure in my life and seeing love as maybe not the normal way to love. And I definitely am calling it out because I believe when you call something out, it takes the shame away, but it helps me with my work at the moment. And where does jealousy come from? From feeling not good enough.
Yeah. I mean, I've always said, it comes from insecurity.
Of not being good enough.
Oh yeah, whatever it is. I mean,
really,
you know, like in a relationship, like the way you described it, like I think for most people, jealousy either comes from something from your past or something from the relationship.
Or maybe you're guilty. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like, sure. Well, to your point, if it's jealousy in the relationship, maybe you're cheating. You become the jealous person, but that jealousy is coming from this insecurity of I stepped out of the relationship and what's stopping them from stepping out too. Like
That's
you said, your jealousy, you referenced your relationship with your father or lack thereof, and that maybe is creating an insecurity about your relationship with.
Well, the infidelity. My dad was a womanizer, so I saw that. Right, my dad literally was a very successful lawyer in the Bay Area and followed his passion. PUSSY and opened up a bunch of strip clubs in Thailand. So I definitely saw a different way, right? And my mother made sure that I was always visiting my dad. Didn't go to the strip clubs, just to be clear, but like not till I was 18 at least. But definitely, saw a different definition of what I was seeing in the movies and what I thought love was. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's where it came from, as well as, me being molested when I was a little girl.
Dancing with the Stars. Do you have any tea?
Speaking of
transition.
What a great one.
Hard pivot.
Such a great one.
It's now streaming.
Yes. Disney Plus.
I don't know if you can talk about whether you're going to be on it or not, but what are your thoughts in general about the show's transitioning from ABC to Disney Plus? And is that a experience that you'd be interested in being a part of? How do you think it can be different or will be different?
Yeah.
General thoughts.
Well, I think this is where everything's going to be heading towards eventually, especially when it comes to a show that you're actively voting. And West Coast at the time when we were on ABC couldn't really vote live because they never saw the dances. So it was a popularity contest. And East Coast was the only coast that was able to see it and vote because the phone lines are only open for a couple hours. So that's great. It's fair now after 30 seasons. No, I'm kidding. But Disney Plus, I think, is going to be a different experience. And I think it's great. I think it's great that the show wants to evolve and try something new. But the show is going to be a full 2 hours. There's no commercial breaks, as we talked about before we did this. And it really is scary for people like us pro dancers because we're like, if we get our first dance and it's not the same 60 seconds and it's like 90 seconds and you're like, oh, crap, that means it's just only going to get longer and longer. And as easy as it looks, like what we're doing is like, oh, their heart rate's not even up. That's not true, right? Like, as you know, it's full on. This is a sport, and I call it dance sport because it is very athletic. And the longer the dance is, the harder it is for the both of us, meaning both pro and celebrity.
Do you feel like when you're dancing, you tend to kind of carry whatever like emotional state that you're in to your performance and your work? Because
Absolutely.
okay,
Yeah, it's authentic. I mean, for me, it is, at least. I actually, that's my pet peeve, is seeing people rehearse their faces in the rehearsal studio. I just can't handle it. And I'll tell my partner right away, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, well, I have to like smile. I said, what? You don't have.
Who are guilty big face rehearsers?
No, don't you dare.
I have to.
I've learned my lesson.
I have to do my job, Cheryl.
I understand, and I don't have to answer your question.
Fair enough.
What's your favorite?
I've had 25 of them, so you can guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite like week every year? Like, do you have a certain either dance style or like theme night that you just like look forward to?
I mean, I competed since I was 11 years old, and I specialize in the Latin dances. So cha-cha, samba, rumba, paso doble, and jive. Don't love jive though. But and then I went to Argentina when they added Argentine tango and was a part of this Argentine tango group called Forever Tango. Gosh, I love Argentina. I would live there in 2 seconds.
Argentine tango.
I fell in love like
I liked
5
the
times.
Argentine tango.
Yeah, it's hot.
Fun dance.
Yeah, I mean the guys don't really do much. I'm kidding. No, the guys leave.
That's probably why I thought it was easy. Yeah,
You had a good experience though, right?
I loved it. Yeah,
You do it again?
for sure.
They did a Bachelor Nation Dancing with the Stars season.
Sign me up.
Oh my God. That's a really interesting
Well, we're no
pitch
longer on
instead
ABC.
of Paradise.
But yeah,
It's no longer on ABC.
Yeah.
Bachelor
I mean,
Dancing with the Stars.
I think they should do every single contestant that was injured.
I'd enjoy it. I don't think I would do well.
I mean, don't manifest it. Maybe it was your partner. Just kidding. I love you, Peta.
That's great. No, it was me. I could have. I would have more fun.
Really?
Yeah.
It's still scary. I mean, what you guys do, you have to be vulnerable throughout this experience. Because when you try, I've said this before, when you try and be cool, when ballroom dancing is not cool. Like we're not trying to be cool, right? Like you actually look ridiculous if you try to be cool. It's like you have to make fun of us.
Yeah, I just wish I would have enjoyed it more. I think I tried.
You were nervous.
Yeah, I was nervous. Yeah.
And this time you just wouldn't be.
I wish I would try to be less. I would try to be how I was after I was eliminated. And they would bring you back to dance your
Isn't that the
dances.
best?
And you're just like,
You just don't care.
and you have more swag. You're just more into it. You're just more like less like you just don't care.
Yeah.
You're just not.
Right.
You
And
know.
that's when you're the most successful, for sure. I believe that.
Yeah.
What do we think about Olivia Wilde and Jason Sudeikis? That story has kind of resurfaced.
No, nothing.
Okay, so for a little bit of background, so Olivia Wilde was speaking at Cinecon, which is an event that was attended by industry executives. So very much like, in addition to a public appearance, it's a very like professional appearance for her, and was served
a big deal.
on stage in the front of everyone, was served documents.
Wait,
that,
what?
like child custody.
No, I
documents.
hear you,
Yeah.
but that's why they couldn't wait till she was off
Exactly.
stage.
And so that's kind of, so now she's recently made a statement.
Jason Sudeikis'
that's-
team.
Wait, why would he want that for her?
I don't know, but
and
the
she's
verdict:
quoted.
no Ted Lasso.
Wait, what do you mean?
Have you seen Ted Lasso?
Yes, I do love Ted
Well,
Lasso.
it doesn't seem
but
like
it
Jason.
makes me not want to watch it
He's
now.
not very Ted Lasso. Not
No.
very Ted Lasso.
He's
of
not
him.
that vulnerable, like sweet, endearing man.
Totally. Do you think you do that a
I mean, he's
lot?
a petty prick.
I mean, sure.
Do you believe that he was involved with it? Like, do you think he knew?
Yes.
Listen, I mean, we also don't know the backstory. Has it been hard for her? Like, have they been trying to serve her, or have they been trying to do it nicely?
Doesn't
Like-
sound like it.
Well, no, normally you do it, and I just know from experience. Like, you normally do it in a conventional way
Well,
first.
I've
You don't
heard-
just
yeah.
get served. Like, you get an email first, actually.
Totally.
And you can respond or not. And if you don't respond, you're going to get served.
And then your lawyers can get together and
If
figure.
you have one, you better,
But
or
they
if you
do.
don't, just communicate. Like, I don't have one yet. I'm in the middle of whatever that thing she was at, and I can't get to this right now. But a response would stop that from happening. I see both sides.
So the question is, was there overtures made prior to this? Has that been like cleared up yet?
We just don't know both sides, unfortunately. Or
What did she say
fortunately.
though? But like, this
you
this
don't-
first
I
broke
just
a
know
while
from
ago.
experience.
No, I know that, but this broke a while ago, and I think that the discourse around
And I
that was
swear
very
there
much
was,
that
like-
was like, well, wait.
I thought there was commentary too of like when the serving happened, it being like Jason had no idea of the timing of this. Like I think there was like some effort made to
No.
protect his reputation.
But you do
But-
know, like, look, obviously he wanted to serve her. So they were like, where is she going to be on this date? Like there was some sort of like something, whether they looked online or if they don't
Yeah,
communicate.
didn't he have a quote?
Well, so Sudeikis maintains that according to an LA Times article, the processor, like the server, attempted to serve Wild at her hotel in Las Vegas, but failed and
Why?
changed track upon recognizing Wild on stage during the Warner Brothers presentation.
See, I believe that. I actually believe that.
Yeah, but you don't think
Listen, I don't. I think his job, maybe he got busted for not serving her in Vegas. That's their job. That's their sole job, is to serve somebody, whether they're in front of people or not.
so? You're saying Olivia?
It's
probably-
embarrassing. Absolutely.
But you think she like wasn't playing ball with Jason's team and
I
forced
just
his
think
hand?
that maybe they just missed each other. Maybe it was really like that. Like they tried in Vegas, missed her. And, you know, when you serve somebody, the goal is to serve them regardless of the situation. I just
like, you
like,
couldn't
I
have
do.
Brought it to her dressing room.
I mean, also he could have, but what if they missed her?
Yeah.
Like, what if they couldn't get back there? Honestly, I see both sides. I'm not siding, but I just experienced something too. So it's like, you got to serve when you got to serve.
Where was the
Scripted
green line
caller?
test you wanted to go?
Oh, okay. Very quickly.
Yeah.
Before we get to our callers.
Sure.
So the green line test, this is something that came to fruition.
Green line or light?
Green
Green
line.
Line.
So it's something that kind of like started out on the internet and had a lot of buzz like around like May. And basically what it is, when you look at a photo of a couple, you can draw a green line. Like it doesn't actually
Body
need to be
language.
green. It's just catchier that way.
Yeah, it's just body
exactly.
language.
And so what it is it's saying like when you draw from like the kind of their
100%.
center, if you notice that he seems to
When
be
it's
really
a little-
fixated.
Who's leaning? Is
Yeah.
basically the question.
And it's kind
But,
of
like,
like a
Body
power
language says a
thing.
lot. I'm
Sure.
actually coming out with a dance program, not to toot my own horn or promote anything that's not even out yet,
Promote.
but called body language, because there's, you know, movement through therapy, but you can also just read people's body language that we sometimes take for granted. So I do kind of believe what he's saying. The person leaning closer is the one that is more into that person, but versus
Yeah.
the other, or
So I guess the big question is like, if you take any one photo,
Mhm.
it's like, you know, casting a judgment by watching like an episode of The Bachelor and be like, well, that person's a
what if
prick.
that person tripped and
Yeah.
was leaning towards the girl?
Or you had a moment where you're like, why don't you ever show any love? And then the person was like, oh, and they took
You
a picture.
do, though. I
you
think
know.
maybe you need more than
But
one.
if you see like 10
but-
photos of a similar body language, I think you
I
can
agree.
make some judgments.
I agree. And then especially 10 different times and moments,
Yeah.
right?
And the innovator said that he could have predicted the Kim Kardashian Pete Davidson split because of the green line test, because
Who was more
Pete
into
is
Kim?
continually leaning in.
Oh,
And
I
I
would think it'd be the other way.
I feel like a lot of people
But
predicted
also,
that.
Pete was so much taller than Kim. You know what I mean? Like, there's
Yeah.
other aspects.
Oh, you're right.
There's
Duh.
definitely
like
holes.
he was.
Kim's
of course, he's
tiny.
leaning
Yeah.
down towards her.
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Not what you want to do in ballroom. Just saying, but yeah, I guess. it's
Do you
normal.
lean towards Natalie or does she lean towards you?
got it. The
I
man's
don't-
the frame.
I don't know. I suspect
How tall is
she leans more, but I think we have a pretty mutual.
lean?
Lean.
You guys
A
are like the
mutual
leaning
lean.
Tower of Pisa. Like just
My guess
They
is if you
support each other.
I'm
Yeah.
guessing if you looked at all of our
Let me
photos,
see your pictures.
would be
yeah.
there would be some reciprocity.
If anyone at home wants to do this for themselves, you just
I'm
go to
gonna-
your photo,
yeah.
draw a line kind of in the angle that you're at, and see
I'm
what
sure
happens.
I've leaned. I'm sure she's leaned.
And it is one of those things where, like, in like, I guess you can chalk it up to hindsight being 2020. But there's certain photos of couples where, like, you look at the green line test and you're like, wow, this is really insightful
Sure, you're like that
of the
person hates
dynamic.
them, their partner or something.
Look,
like that.
I'm very sensitive to touch. I'm very sensitive, obviously, because I'm a dancer. But I actually have two therapists, a cognitive therapist and a somatic therapist. And somatic's more about like the body, and like we hold on to trauma like animals do, except animals don't have PTSD, because what they do is they shake it out. They literally, when you see your dog shaking, they're shaking out trauma. So they don't hold on to any trauma. So this guy named Dr. Peter Levine went into
I thought it was wet.
well, if dry, most likely they are shaking out
just
trauma.
They
kidding.
get traumatized every time they go in the water.
No, true, actually true.
Jeff becomes tiny. Of course, he's traumatized.
Totally. But what's fascinating to me is just all of that, like the fact that we tend to try and put language to our feelings sometimes when it's not possible, or for some people it's not. I know for me, it's a lot harder to call it out by words, but I can feel the trauma. And if we would be more, I guess, intentional about not saying like, we would shake out, like if God forbid me and you got in a car accident and we walked out of the car and we would just shake it out, we actually wouldn't deal with any PTSD. But I'm not saying like this is not normal in society today, but there is a lot of trauma we hold on into our bodies that if intentional, you can actually take out.
That's actually that's really interesting.
That's why I'm, starting body language, because I think it's very important.
Totally.
that some people don't like cognitive therapy. A lot of people can't talk about it or they can't afford it. So come to Body Language.
All right, texting office hours. How's it going?
Hi, Nick. I'm Zoe. I'm 31.
Hi, Zoe. How can we help?
All right. So basically, I need you to help me shoot my shot here.
Okay.
So basically, here's a little bit of a rundown. I'm going to give you a little lowdown about what happened. So about a year ago, I matched with this guy on Hinge. We messaged on the app for about 3 weeks. We never ended up meeting in real life. I ended up getting back together with my ex. So I unmatched him and got off Hinge. So about 6 months ago, I see this guy, the guy that I matched with on Hinge, at my gym. And the funny thing about this is, while we were messaging, I told him about my gym and suggested that he go and try it out. While he was there, neither of us acknowledged each other. And then a couple weeks later,
Do you think he recognized you? I mean, you recognized him and ignored him. What do you think?
I think he did recognize me,
Sure.
and just because there would be situations where he needed like a towel to clean the equipment off behind me, and he would literally go all around the gym
Gotcha.
to purposely
And
avoid me.
when you got back with your ex, did you just, I mean, granted, you had only messaged on a dating app, right? Did you exchange cell phone numbers or were you only texting on the dating app?
We were only texting on the dating app.
And then you essentially just kind of ghosted him, I'm guessing, right? Because like there was no need for a breakup.
Yeah, I mean, it's technically unclear because I don't have anything to refer to. I don't know if he stopped messaging me back and it was like a couple days before I just kind of like busted out.
But you just got
Or
back with
if-
your ex, kind of forgot about him altogether, and you don't really know how he internalized this moment. Maybe he was matched with 15 other women, we don't know. Maybe he thought you were the one, and he went on some other podcasts and talked about it.
Yeah, exactly. That could definitely have
We don't
happened.
really know. Okay. But either way, you realize X, no good. Now we're back. We're single. We're back on the market.
Yep.
You are
Yep.
at the gym in which you suggested.
Yes.
Well, you have an in.
Yeah. And like a couple weeks after I saw him at the gym, he friend requested me on Facebook. So like he definitely knows who I am, knows my last name.
So what do you,
So-
I mean, thank you for like believing in us to help you like draft a message, but what's the holdup? I feel like this is.
Well, I don't know what to say. It's been like so long now that it's like awkward. Like, do I bring it up? Do I say, hey, sorry, I ghosted you? Do I do it in person? Because I actually have like that opportunity to do it in person. Or should I do it on Facebook in case like maybe he's like, well, you rejected me.
He
Let's
Facebook
just
requested
stick
you.
to- Yeah, so maybe he just wants to be friends. Maybe he's not into like
No,
a
he
date.
doesn't. Well,
Does he
I
know
don't-
that
I mean-
he ghosted her? That she ghosted him? He knows.
I mean, I don't know if anyone really ghosted anyone,
Yeah.
but she moved on.
Right.
And there wasn't much of a relationship to ghost.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it was all
or you
communication
well, you
on
didn't
the
move on, you went backwards. But either way.
That's okay.
That's
Listen,
fine.
so did I. I married it.
What would you feel what's most comfortable? I mean
I mean, I could do it in person. I'm not that shy.
here's what I would say if you send a message.
Okay.
It's real simple. Do you want to just go on a date with the guy? Right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah,
Great.
like I was hoping that he would ask me on a date when we were talking for those 3 weeks.
You send him a message and you say, and let me know if you guys disagree. But I think we have it. And it's, hey, I think it's only fair that you take me out for a coffee for the amazing gym recommendation or something like that.
Oh,
Cute.
Mm.
I like it.
Mhm.
I like that.
Put a comma after the hey.
And if you want a drink or whatever it is, a meal of food, I don't know. I like to keep it simple,
that.
but I think coffee's real simple, real
Yeah.
basic.
And it's flirty.
It's flirty.
Yeah, that's a fun text.
I like it.
Nick, I'm texting you the next time I need a texter.
Well, this one's
Message.
particularly, it's a bit of a layup.
I suck at texting.
That's what my sister said. She's like, this is a slam dunk.
Yeah.
I mean, he Facebook requested you.
Yeah.
That's your sign right there.
And you both have just been too chicken to say hi at the gym, which I
Mhm.
totally get because it's a weird place at the gym. Like, I don't know. Like, you
I
know,
don't know.
men are told not to approach women.
What?
At the gym?
I don't. I have a trainer. at
Yeah,
my
I think
house.
there's
I'm
been a string
spoiled,
of
but-
bad behavior with
Yeah.
men.
Wait,
at the
so men
gym.
in general, do you get like this mass email that says "Don't approach women"?
CC
Well, it's-
all men.
There's just like
There's
been-
just
yeah.
a lot of, listen, it's the bad apple thing. There's enough of bad
It's the
apples
Me
out
Too
in the
thing.
world that ruined it for the rest of us, so to speak. And in social situations like working out at a gym where, you know, people like to work out and maybe they're not feeling the most, secure self because they're sweating or working out. And it's like some people can be annoying and obnoxious when they hit on people in public.
Yeah, and you want to feel safe too as a woman. I think that's probably why I hate gyms.
So if you're a guy, you really need to have a game plan and you really need to feel pretty confident about that. Otherwise, you know, it's going to be a nervous thing. So it makes sense why maybe to me, the Facebook friend request is, I definitely remember you. I saw you.
Okay.
Don't know what you're up to these days, but it was him almost sending like like he probably doesn't even feel it rejected by you.
Okay, you don't think so?
I don't know. Your relationship didn't even evolve outside of a text messaging on a dating app. I wouldn't call that much.
2022.
Yeah. But chances are
I agree.
he's okay. He didn't, you know, he survived whatever loss he felt.
He's not upset or else he wouldn't Facebook request you.
Yeah. So I think to send that.
That's a good one.
I only think it's fair that you buy me a cup of coffee for the amazing gym recommendation.
All right. Should I do it today?
Do it right now.
Do
now.
it right now as we sit here.
I'll see you at the gym in like an hour.
Even better.
Yeah, perfect. And if he doesn't go up to you after that, then I'd be like, bye.
Also, it's a Facebook message. Like, I don't know how often he checks Facebook. It might go right to his phone. It might be instantaneously.
I don't remember the last time I checked Facebook.
I haven't checked a Facebook message in 4 years.
Facebook
Clearly,
Marketplace.
but when was the last time you requested somebody on Facebook?
It's been a minute.
40 years, yeah.
But he clearly uses it, so.
Yeah, he doesn't. I don't have Instagram or anything.
Maybe should she give her cell so they don't have to continue doing this?
Oh, I love that.
Should I do that?
Yes.
What if she just does the original message, sees what he says, and then
Yes.
says, text me?
Or what
Yes.
That's the second one.
the other
No.
option
I
would
say
be
you
like
lead with-
original message
You
and
lead-
then
You need to
cell
stop.
phone number, nothing else.
Yeah, you could. Just put the
Yeah.
number on the bottom.
And your name. No, you don't need your name. Just kidding. You're doing Facebook. You're good. No name.
Yeah, I
Love.
I don't think you need it, but I'm more than fine with. I think it's only fair that you buy me a cup of coffee for the amazing gym recommendation, and then just put your number
Text
under.
me.
Text me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that sounds good.
Sext
I
me.
will
No,
have
just
to
kidding.
keep you guys
Text me.
updated.
Let us know.
All right.
I think it's going to go well.
I
All right,
do
thank you
too.
for your help,
Sending
guys.
All right,
positive
take care.
vibes.
Bye.
Bye bye. How's it going?
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm 26.
Hi, Hannah. How
I'm
can we help?
From Canada.
Okay.
Hi. Yeah. You can totally help me. I'm from Canada, but currently in the Netherlands. I need help drafting a text because I'm having difficulty with a guy, and I don't know if this is going to be like a text, like a "What's the deal" text, or if it should be a text to prompt to meet up and talk about it, or if I should just go cold and see what happens, which is what my dad thinks I should do.
Okay. Well, tell me about this guy in the expectations or the situation you're in with him.
Yeah. So I met him on Tinder Passport, April 2020, at the height of the pandemic.
Okay.
We started talking every day. We've actually talked every day since then.
Every day.
Every day on WhatsApp, without fail, every day. We also started FaceTiming regularly, like during the month.
You face. Okay, so he is. That's my first concern.
So, yeah.
He's not a catfish.
He's not a catfish, and I've also Googled him, and he does what he says he does.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
Because like
so
every
far,
day
so
is
good.
intense for having not met someone for 2 years.
I know.
And usually
it
those
really
are called
is intense.
catfishes. All right, but you have you've seen him in a FaceTime.
Yep, I've
Then
seen
it'd
him
be
in
like
a
you and I,
FaceTime.
like I
From
could
head to toe?
head-
No.
Yeah.
okay.
Exactly.
And he gave
yeah.
you a name, and then you
So-
Googled, and it all matched up. But you've done some
Yeah.
research. Okay, all right. So
Yeah,
not a
yeah. So
catfish.
I feel like I did what I could.
Okay.
Yeah, not a catfish. Then we started expressing interest in each other, which kind of happened naturally, talking every day. And then we started talking about visiting each other's countries when COVID restrictions lifted. And that was pretty good. I feel like there was a slight hiccup earlier this year. I was thinking about coming to Europe to see him. Also, I wanted to also come back here because I was on exchange earlier in 2020 and had to go home early. So I was already wanting to come back here. But yeah, so we kind of had this preliminary plan. He was like, oh, you can come stay with me for 2 or 3 weeks, whatever.
You're currently in the Netherlands to see him?
Partially to see him, but after that whole conversation with him, actually, I did have a conversation. I was like, do you want to still meet after this? And he's like, yes. Like, he still wanted to really meet me to see where things go. But I also knew I needed to have my own plans. So I also I got a house to sublet for a month, and I'm looking for jobs. I have like plans to travel around. So I made it like pretty clear to him and also for myself that I'm not just here to see you. But of course, I was super excited to see this.
But you
guy.
didn't just like take a quick trip. You're like settling in.
Wait, between girls, are you there? You're there to see him. I mean,
yes. Okay. So I've been here a month and I've seen him 4 times.
You have seen him.
is there a connection?
There's he seems to keep trying to, well, not trying to, but it seems like he doesn't really prioritize seeing me that much. And now I've been here for a month and I still haven't found employment, and I'm going to have to like start jumping around soon. So I'm kind of like, I'm looking at leaving in September.
Got it.
You sent us some messages.
Yeah.
We can do a dramatic reading for context, but can you give us...
I don't know if it'll work as a dramatic reading.
It'll be fun either way. But like, why
It'll
did you
be funny,
choose
okay.
why did you choose to send us these messages? Give us some context behind what we're about to read.
It depends which one you're reading, but if it's the first 2, it was kind of like, it was an example of a time where he was changed the time or made it a certain day because he's like, oh, I feel tired today, and I feel like I will also feel tired tomorrow and want to go to bed early. And there's another one with an iced coffee.
Yeah.
And I kind of invite him to hang out with me, and he's like, oh, I want to read my book. Instead.
Is he green or white in this conversation? Drinking at this...
He's white.
Okay, so you wrote drinking this at a cafe and probably going to read in the park later. That's cute. You are, of course, more than welcome to join for any of that. But also, I know it's your last day off and that you may want an introvert date. Does he identify as an introvert?
Yes.
Okay. That matters.
Yeah. Which is fair, yeah.
It's one of his best books he's read. Looks tasty. Iced coffee. Compliments on your drink. Thanks for the invite, but I'll indeed stay home today. I feel like I need it.
Who said that?
He did.
So
you've hung out with him 4 times. Have you guys hooked up?
Yes.
Have you hooked up every time you hung out or one time?
No. I thought I was friend zoned after the 2nd time. And then the 3rd time we met up, he bought dinner, and then we went back to his house and he made a move, and then we hooked up.
What about the 4th time?
So wait, how about the first time? Did you hook up the first time?
No.
No.
not
First
at
and
all.
2nd time
Okay,
we did
got
not.
it.
Then she thought she got friend
Got
zoned,
it.
and then he was like, just kidding, dinner and sex. And then what happened on the 4th date?
Yeah. The 4th day, so the 3rd day, I feel like was like, oh, this is actually really good. And he like had a toothbrush for me and was like expecting me to stay
He
over.
had a
Wait, hold on,
toothbrush
hold on,
for
hold
you.
Oh,
Yeah, it was clean. It was from the package. It was like a clean one.
How many clean ones does he have?
Well, he could just have
I
extra
don't know.
toothbrushes.
Yeah.
For
That
them?
doesn't sound...
For those?
I know.
Did he have an electric toothbrush, or did he use the same
Stop
type
it.
of toothbrush out of the pack?
My dad's a dentist. You get it at Costco or wherever you guys get your
No,
bulk
but I'm
from.
saying like
Yeah.
if he has an
that's a good
electric,
question.
Yeah.
Good
but he's like,
detective
oh,
question.
I have a toothbrush for you, and he pulled it out of a pack of clearly ones he
Totally.
doesn't use,
Totally.
but also offers to
Yeah.
the ladies of the night.
Right. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Which one was
He
it?
does have an electric
Oh, yeah, the electric toothbrush.
But also, but potentially for travel.
He's also cheap.
No.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
All right,
I
whatever.
do know he goes to the dentist often. So
You were
maybe-
never.
No,
We
no.
know you weren't the first person he's hooked up with. It's fine, but
No, it's
not
Are you
not-
dating other people?
Not
Please
the
say
most
yes.
fun realization.
I'm not since being here, but yeah, I have. But not
So how did
lately.
4th date go? How did 4th date end?
4th date it felt a little bit weird vibes. I went over to his house, he cooked dinner, and we talked until 11 p.m. just at his kitchen table. And then he started getting tired. And I was like, oh, it's probably time for me to go. Then I made a move and then we hooked up again.
Okay.
But it just felt like,
Awkward.
I don't know.
Okay. So
Yeah,
here's
a
my
little bit
question to
more
you.
awkward.
All right. So this is obviously a very unique story. You've invested a lot of energy in this person, 2 years worth
Yes.
of energy. So whatever, that's fine. We had a pandemic. You made a connection with someone. It was fun. But my question to you is now, what do you want? Like, do you want to, like, you've had 4 dates with this guy. I understand that you've invested a lot. You've really had to chase, it sounds like, so that makes you kind of vulnerable. But have you taken any time, any moments of just self-reflection to say, what do I think of this guy after 4 dates? What do I think about having sex with him? You don't live there. Like, so do you want to date this guy? Like, and what does that even look like if you did? Like, have you know what I'm saying? Like, I think you need to have some of these thoughts before you sit there and worry about
What he's thinking.
Totally. You got to live for you.
So where are you at with that?
Yeah. Well, I like meeting him in person. It's kind of grounded me in reality where it's like, okay, definitely not perfect. There's still things I like about him, but it's
like his
just
face
not
or his attitude or both?
both. But it does seem harder to click with him in person. So I feel like what I would want is to be able to spend more time with him just because I'm all this way. We've talked all this time and I feel like I would really want to get to know someone better in person.
Okay.
And then also I think if we are not clicking well in person, then I also need to cut off this talk exchange that we have.
Well, yeah. I mean, because you got to think about his point of view, right? Like, these are always awkward situations. Like, you have this huge build. You guys are talking every day. I'm sure those conversations at times were intense. You felt a lot of chemistry with him at times. And you probably got to know each other a lot, but all without any physical connection, never meeting in person. Then you finally, after like him dating someone else, you finally go out and you go across the world. You go to Europe and you finally meet him in person. And it's like, sounds like it was pretty good. Whatevs.
Yeah.
You had some sex, but like, I would think both of you are very, like, neither of you, it sounds like you've talked about like next steps or what this looks like if you guys do hang out. And you're not talking about it. He's not talking about it. So it's not uncommon for people who aren't communicating effectively to just, pull away.
Yeah.
So.
And that might turn him on.
Maybe. I don't know. Well, I don't think you should play games. What I think you should do.
No.
It is.
Is I think.
If you want to turn away, turn away.
Well, if you're don't go to a park and send him a picture of coffee and hope that he wants to join you. Especially if this guy's he's got his job, he has his priorities. It's always and if you ask someone to reach out like to hang out in the next 10 minutes or the same afternoon, it's just a very easy out. Oh, I have this, I have that, I'm busy, I don't feel like it.
Right.
So next time if you want to shoot your shot, so to speak, if you want to send a text, you need to plan something. Hey, I'd love to see you again. Let's do something, whatever it is. So have an idea. Have you ever tried this? I've been looking at that. And if he's like a Debbie Downer and shoots you down for all those things, you just say, well, I'd like to see you again. And that way, at least you get an answer in this situation of his desire to see you overall. And just try to keep it simple. I do think next time you hang out, if you get him to hang out, like it would make sense for you guys to just be like, to accelerate, like, how on The Bachelor, I don't know if you watch that, but like shit goes fast. They have conversations faster than you otherwise would. You guys are in this kind of agreed, unique situation. And this agreement has been to like hang out and invest every day of conversations. And now that you are in each other's company, you're not crazy for wanting to have a conversation about a guy you've talked to every fucking day for the better part of 2 years. And now you're seeing in person and then you've had some sex and you're not crazy for being like,
no, you're not.
Hey, like I like you. Like it seems like I don't really know a ton about you. I'm realizing now. Are you just like over this?
Yeah.
And that's fine. I think you need some
deserve
clarity
to know. You deserve.
Figure out.
Yeah.
And I think you need to start like putting it out there and stop waiting on him and just saying, I just like, and you're going to be chill about it, but first make a plan.
Yeah.
Hey, let's hang out. What are you doing this week? Very open-ended.
And don't change
I'd
who
love
you
to
are
see you again.
either. Like be you, forget what his reaction. I know it's easier said than done, Believe me, I was definitely in
Yeah.
your situation. I dated a guy in England and I chased after his ass.
Yeah, it's fun. Listen,
That was me. The accents make me lace up my running
Right?
shoes.
if no matter what,
very
you're going to look
triggering.
back at this experience memorably and with a smile. That I have no
No, and
doubt.
you will learn something from this
Yeah.
experience for sure.
But as far as this, I think you need to like. I would honestly like, not to sound corny, take an afternoon, go back to the park, drink it, get a coffee, and truly think about
Yeah.
like, what do you like about him so far?
Mhm.
Like, what do you like about what you've gotten to know in person? When you think about that, I would almost, if you can, try to forget about the past 2 years and just
Right,
think about
yeah.
what your interactions have been, and are those interactions ones that you find attractive,
Mhm.
and you have to consider: is he worth it to you?
Mhm.
Is he worth
Right.
you being in the Netherlands? You know, I mean, it's a lovely
I
place.
like it here anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like, but also like,
Yeah.
but your friends and family, and maybe he was a catalyst. I don't know, but I really would think about what you want.
Yeah.
And then if you say, well,
Yeah.
what I want is like, I don't know, like I do like him, and he's not perfect, but like I do like a lot of things about him. I want to learn more. Then plan the date, and then
Okay.
you deserve to check in, get an update from him about
Yeah.
where he is.
Yeah. So that's something I should do
I like that.
with him in person.
Yeah, I think. Well, and
Don't forget the
this
list,
side.
though. That's very important what Nick said. The likes and dislikes. Don't forget
Yeah.
the dislikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I-
have been trying to do that. I'm like, okay.
Ideally, do it in person. I mean, listen, like if you keep trying to make a plan that keeps avoiding you, I think you have your answer.
Not the
Yeah,
list
I
in
think so
person,
too.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Write the list in person in
Yeah.
front of him. No, I'm kidding.
But also, like if I'm you, don't you want to get
Yes.
some clarity on this situation so that if you find out like maybe he's just not into it, you can start fucking some other guys from the Netherlands? Because
Yeah.
there's other hotties out there.
Yeah, the Dutch
you know?
are beautiful.
They really
Yeah.
are.
They
They ride it on
Yeah.
their bicycles.
Listen, if that's your type,
I know.
go get
Yeah,
it.
and I'm
Go
pretty
get him,
sure you
Tiger.
go on some dating app and be like, hot Canadian chick. And if she went back on the dating apps out in the
Yeah.
Netherlands, she'd get some action.
Probably.
I agree.
If
You're
action is-
beautiful, by the
yeah.
way. You really are really
Yeah.
cute.
You have
so
a really like lovely radiant
Yes.
energy
You're
that I think people will
gorgeous.
pick up on.
The
Yes.
Dutch will love.
they'll be
Thank
all
you.
on top of that.
So think about that, right? And have that mindset, and that will help you
Yeah.
put out to him what you were looking for
Yeah.
with confidence, and as someone who isn't there to waste their time, because you never want to look like the
Yeah.
person who's just like, who has that kind of false confidence, be like, I know who I am, but really all you really want is for them to, hang out with you. And
Yeah.
but like, that like, I'm gonna like, while I'm here, I'm gonna have some
Yeah.
fun, whether it's with you or someone
Right,
else. So
right.
like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
If you really want to become
Yeah.
like a fucking ninja, make a plan. Is he
Yes.
still hanging out with you? Like, you could be like, what are you doing tonight? Be like, I got a date.
Oh my God, I love
Yeah.
that. Yes, please. Please do that. Please.
I could.
Be like,
But don't lie. Have a date.
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
are you?
Okay.
Yeah,
So line up a date.
definitely.
Go get a date with
Even if
someone
it's with
else.
yourself.
In
Just say
fact-
you have a date.
In fact, go do that today.
Yeah.
Go on the
Yes.
dating app.
Okay.
Go plan a date.
Yes.
And then on this date, after that date, think about what you want with this guy.
Then write that list.
Then
Yeah.
write that
Okay.
list.
Yeah. Good advice,
Okay.
Nick.
That sounds like a good idea. Yeah. I
Uh,
like that.
Ninja it is, girl.
And then
Ninja.
and then the text you would send him after the date, which is, let's I want to hang out with you. Let's plan something.
if you
Right.
want to.
Okay.
But only if you want to. I think she's gonna want to
I
see
don't
it through.
know. I lived in Denmark for a year. There's some hotties.
Oh, you've been all over the place.
I
That's
know.
awesome.
Yeah. So
I'm
instead of
not
texting
okay.
someone right now, get on the dating apps,
The Netherlands dating
And be a ninja.
and go for it. Just get on all of
Yes,
them.
get
Just
it.
go ham.
Go.
You got a short window.
Yeah. Okay.
Life is
Yeah.
short. Just
Yeah.
live. Live, girl.
And your goal
Yes.
is fun.
Love it.
Fun.
Yes.
And you're really cute. Don't forget how beautiful you are.
Thank you so much.
If you plan a date, not with
Yeah.
your boy,
Uh-huh.
and he happens to
Yes.
reach out and he asks what you're doing, feel free to let him know that you have a date planned.
I have a date. Yes.
And even if
Yeah.
he doesn't reach
And that's
out,
all you say. That's the only information you provide, is that you have a date.
does he follow you on Instagram?
I have a date. Yeah, he does.
No, you can't. Don't.
Date time.
No, don't advertise the date.
Don't. Okay, cool.
Don't out yourself.
that-
All right, fine.
Only if
or
he
just get
asks.
ready. Just get ready.
I'm getting
On a
ready for
story.
a date.
On a story.
I'm
Just
getting
get
ready for it. No, that's too much.
Okay, fine. Clearly, I'm single, so don't take my advice. So yeah,
Well, I just don't want him to think that you're doing it to get his
that's
attention.
true.
Then
'Cause
it
it's not
completely.
yeah, You don't do that like
yeah.
every night.
When it's like, oh, hey, what's up? Oh, I'm getting ready for a date. It's like,
What?
Yeah.
oh, I guess I don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Like that's
Then
completely different.
Yeah, you're right. What if he doesn't reach out
Right.
though?
Then she has a date.
Right. So she shouldn't
No.
say it ever.
Trust me, she'll get an opportunity to let him know that she either had a
Eventually.
date or that she's getting ready for a date.
That's true.
What have you been up to? Oh,
Okay,
I
fair
had some
enough.
nice dates.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is your Bumble as fire as mine?
I'm
You know,
I'm
I don't
assuming
know.
that's a dating app. Okay, cool. That's
Keep
great.
us posted.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll keep
I
you
am
We're
posted.
invested. Yes.
All right. Well, let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know how the dating
Okay,
apps go,
sounds
and then when you
good.
do talk to them, let us know what you decided, and then what happened.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.
All right.
All right. Bye bye.
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 Honestly, I see a little bit of me back in 7 years ago. I definitely went to England and followed, I met this guy in Saint-Tropez with my sister. I just took my sister with me. I wanted to have a hot girl summer. And so that's what happened. And then I met this guy and I like literally made this story up in my head. And I would honestly fly to England like maybe before the season started. So like 3 times a month and just be like, I'm here for business.
That's
and then,
wild, Cheryl.
I know, right? I also love flying and I wanted to see if I could travel by myself, which I can, people. And then he visited me once and he didn't know what I did. And then he got really weird. And I was like, ew, get out of my house. And yeah, that was it.
You live and you learn.
But like it quickly flipped. So he went from like not being, engaged as much to once he found out what I did for a living.
He didn't like you dancing?
No, he liked it.
I liked it too
He
much.
liked the attention
Oh,
of
I
it.
see.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Yeah, power can change.
Yeah, I don't like that. I
Real
think I
quickly.
liked that he didn't know me at all.
Yeah.
Cheryl, what
Yeah.
a delight. This has been so much fun.
Thanks for having me.
Can you please let my audience know about your podcast, where they can follow you, all the things you're doing? Just promote the fuck out of yourself.
Well, you already heard about body language, but podcast is every Tuesdays with iHeart, anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Name?
Burke in the Game.
Burke in the
Don't you
Game.
forget. And we talk about all this stuff, all my insecurities. We have guests that try and like get me to learn something new. And most of the time they do. Nick will be on. So there you go. And then Dancing with the Stars, maybe. We don't know. And if I do it, it'll be my 26th season.
26?
Oh my goodness.
Damn.
I am 98 years
Are
old.
they still going to be filming at the same place?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing it. But yes, I would assume so. And then, yeah, at Cheryl Burke on all my social platforms except for TikTok, which I'm a huge fan of, finally, at Cheryl Burke Official. That's
All
it.
right. Well, be sure to check out her podcast, follow her, all that fun stuff. And if she makes an appearance
Maybe.
on Dancing with the Stars, be sure to check that out.
Mhm.
Thank you for listening, guys. Don't forget to send in those questions at asknick@castmedia.com. Cass with a K. We'll be back next week. Oh, Becca Moore is back to break down The Bachelorette. Oh, and next week, Ellie Zeiler again is with us for Going Deeper. Her fascinating life, more texting office hours. Until then, have a great week. Hey guys, thanks for watching, but before you go, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any future videos like our Mondays Ask Nick for your favorite relationship stories and advice, and our Tuesday Bachelor recaps. See you next time.